All right, thank you so much, Dr. Alaa, and it's a pleasure to speak to all of you today on a very important topic, which is quality. And I think I would like to take that further and add the word quality assurance there to it, because I think that's what all of us in our every day-to-day life want to ensure is that we get something which has a quality mark on it. Now, why do and quality assurance in higher education has got various ways at which we can look at it, and I think we are deliberately talking about quality assurance in higher education today because of a very important stakeholder, which is the student. And it is to ensure that the student is able to get the quality of service which is promised, and we can maintain the standards of education delivery right from every aspect of the institution into right from when the student comes in and when they graduate out. So I think that's what is important to think about when you think of quality assurance is who is the stakeholder. And I think primarily it is your students. And I think while we're looking at students, there is also the other stakeholders like the parents. You'll have the local, the governing, the government or the governing council. You will have your funders. If it's a private university, you'll have your board of governors. So everyone is interested to know how you're performing, and that's why quality assurance is so very important. And I think I'm not here today to tell you that rankings is the best quality assurance mechanism, because I think when we look at the history of quality assurance, it started way back with accreditation, right in the US, when students wanted to take loans. And the accreditation system was built in such a way that students who wanted to take loans, or institutions which wanted to enroll students, and those students needed to get financial support, needed to be accredited or pass the minimum standards. Uh, that has moved on today into a much transnational concept, where we're looking at students trying to come and study in Egypt, trying to study in Jordan, in many other countries, where they would like to know how is the quality of an institution. So I think the quality assurance mechanism covers accreditation, covers rankings, and particularly ratings, which are provided from organizations like QS with QS stars, or even the quality assurance QAA in the UK. So all of these put together give a feeling, or at least are able to promote both academic and non-academic services in terms of the quality of service, and definitely promotes transparency and accountability in the system. Now let's focus on rankings. But before that, what would you, and I think all of you are involved in some kind of a quality assurance system. Now, there are 4 steps for any quality assurance system. Now, you can use rankings in any one of them. You can use ratings in any one of them, or you can use accreditation in any one of them. The first most important is setting your strategic objectives on what you want to become. And that is really important. And most of the institutions which I see don't have this clear on what is the strategic objective of the institution, in the sense of what do they want to be after 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and so on. Now, I've seen that some of the governments are setting these objectives now for the country, for the institutions. And that's important, is even if you're a private or a public institution, you need to set those objectives. And how are you going to monitor them is put some benchmarks on what do you want, or some KPIs on what do you want to get at, because you might say you want to be the best, but what are you going to be the best in? Are you going to be using a ranking to measure that? Are you going to be using a rating to measure that? And what is the rank are you looking for? So first is strategic objectives. Second is performance measurement, using these objectives. So looking at the ranking which you follow and which you think measures what you, how are you performing? Okay, so constant measurement is required. And the third is comparing the outcomes, what come out of the institution, the graduate employability, the rankings, and the whole system, and comparing them against the benchmarks and seeing whether those benchmarks are being met and how far are you from. And the fourth step is either you achieve it or you start all over again by calibrating those important objectives and benchmarks. Now, it is not a one-time process. A lot of institutions come to us and me say, "Well, I'm a university which is 20 years in age or whatever it is. I'm a young institution. I want to be in the ranking in the next few months." Uh, it may be that you might be. It may be you might not be, because the stepping stone is that you need to get your important your first few building blocks right. And I think with university rankings, one core difference between a ranking and an accreditation is that rankings are based on relativity. That means whoever scores the highest, either it's in a world ranking, in a QS perspective, I think I would always ask institutions to aspire to be the best regionally first, because that is where you can learn from your colleagues, you can learn from people in the region and move ahead in the rankings. So definitely looking at how people perform. So when we release the top 100 list, people say, "Why aren't we in the ranking?" Because you aren't relatively good in the top 100, which is released, or the top 1,000 in the world, and hence you will need to work harder. That's why those four steps are very, very important. Now, that's about quality assurance, about how do you use it. Now, when we come to QS rankings, I'm sure you might have heard of QS rankings. You might have either submitted data previously. You might have worked with us in some way. Now, with the Arab region ranking, we have developed a system which looks at the region's importance, looks at what are the challenges in the region, and what are the opportunities the region has for the next 10 years to achieve important visions. And I'm not sure whether, and you can probably tell me if your country has a vision. I know of 4 countries that have set a vision for 2030: Saudi, UAE, Oman, and Qatar. Now, I know the ministers have been talking in Egypt of want to get Egypt to the next level, make it a knowledge powerhouse. But I think that vision is very important to have. And what each of these countries want is an X number of universities in the top 100. Okay, so coming back to the ranking, come back to the Arab region rankings. This is a great way to measure your performance locally first, and then aim to be good internationally. So in the Arab region ranking, and any institution which qualifies in the Arab region ranking with either having both undergraduate and postgraduate courses. So that's the most important, is to qualify in the Arab region ranking. You need to have both undergraduate and postgraduate courses. Second, you need to be a multidisciplinary institution. So if you are only a university offering medical programs or engineering programs, you would not qualify in Arab region rank. Okay? Now that is because this is a wide ranking. It covers all types of institutions. So we classify 5 subject areas. Okay, and if you remember this, I'll be happy to share a PPT slide later for you to, or some notes for you. One is arts and humanities, engineering and technology, life sciences and medicine, social sciences and management, and natural sciences. So there are 5 broad faculty areas. What we want institutions is to have at least
Sorry, Ashwin, can you say them again, Ashwin? So I'm typing in Arabic, please.
Okay, arts and humanities.
Okay.
Engineering and technology.
Okay.
Life sciences and medicine.
Okay.
Social sciences and management.
Okay.
And natural sciences.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please carry on. Yeah, you can carry on. Yeah.
Sorry, I just unmuted myself for a second.
Oh, no worries. I got them. I wrote them already. I typed them.
Okay. So these are the 5 broad faculty areas. So you need to offer both undergraduate and postgraduate, and you need to at least have 2 of these broad 5 faculty areas. Now, once you qualify for this, you can submit data. Rankings has no charge, absolutely. A lot of people in universities ask me, you know, can we appoint an agent to submit data for us? Well, I say the ranking should reflect the reality of your institution. So the data is extremely simple. If you qualify in these two indicators and you believe you are a university which is producing a decent amount of research, of course, you have graduates which are going out and are being employable, and you have a good number of faculty. You basically are a university which is interested in quality. That's again coming to the point, is the quality is important. So if you believe you're good in all these areas, you can go ahead and submit data, and there is no guarantee though that you'll be ranked, because it is based on relativity. Now, of course, you can come to us and have a discussion. Why I'm not ranked? How could we support you in terms of, you feel that there is no research data for you? So you can go back and work on those components. Now, one of the health warnings of rankings is that there are two health warnings. Like, if you smoke cigarette, you always have a health warning. So there are two health warnings. One is that uh, there is no right ranking system. Okay, it all depends on what your perspective is. How do you feature in each ranking? Now, if you're looking at the top three rankings in the world, and I think I can proudly say this, QS is one of them. There is Times Higher Education, and there is Shanghai Jiaotong University rankings. Now, each of the rankings, you have to look at the parameters of them. I will briefly explain QS, but if you're looking at Shanghai, it is purely a research driven university rankings. The focus is on extreme excellence in research. Do you have field medalists? Do you have an Nobel laureates? What kind of an impact are you doing in research in the top few percent in the world? So definitely that is meant for perhaps researchers looking where they're going to go and do their postdoc, or they're looking where are they going to find their next high impact job, or so on. So that is a focused university ranking, which is looking at research impact. The THE one has got, I think, very comparable to QS. Looks at different areas, looks at also industry income. QS doesn't look at industry income, but one of the area which I think, again, that has got a good mix of research. So if you're looking to do research collaborations, people will generally look at THE rankings, and I think now students are also looking at THE rankings. But it is a strong research favored ranking setup. QS as well, much like THE, is almost shares the same kind of feelings, but we have something which is really important for academia, is the employability of the students. How do you, and that's really at the heart of what we do, is how do we measure that, and how do we get employers to be part of the ranking system, to tell us their views on which is the best university for them. Now, the famous statistician George Box, late George Box, said that essentially all models are wrong, but some are useful. So that's exactly what it is. I'm not going to tell you that QS is the best one for you. You need to look at your strategic. Again, those four elements I mentioned are important. Is your in the university aligned with this ranking in the strategic objectives? And do you want to follow this? If yes, then yes, you should follow it and take it forward, right? So there is no right ranking model, but there are only useful ranking models. So there could be a useful or a non-useful one, okay? The second one is the rankings are the outcomes of what you do, and definitely not the goal of what you're doing. So while you are going on those four important elements, the steps and stages, you have to always remember that the outcome is not the result of the ranking, but what is happening at the institution. Okay, so the indicators in the Arab region ranking, and I'll just quickly, because I know we have a limitation of time as well here. So the Arab region ranking covers several indicators, and the first indicator is academic reputation, having a weight of 30%. Uh, and we'll touch upon this if we have a little bit more time, but academic reputation 30%, employer reputation 20%. Now, 50% of the ranking methodology is based on reputation. The 30% is from academia. It showcases strongly what do academics feel about subjects in their area and in their country, and also internationally. So it's academic opinion. The employer reputation 20% also is based on opinion, but from employers. So people could complain that, well, this is based on opinion, it's not perfect. But again, the whole point is there is no perfect ranking system in the world. There are only useful models. Okay, so that's my health warning there. The next one is faculty student ratio, which has a weight of 15%. I get asked this question: the weight is 15%, but what should be the ideal score? There is no ideal score, because the institution which has the best faculty student ratio in the Arab region, and I think I can't remember which institution was about 6 students to 1 faculty member. Okay, now this is the institutional ratio. Uh, People ask me in the world, what is the best ratio? Now, if I was at Caltech, Caltech has a 1 faculty to 2 students ratio. Okay, there is a medical school in the US which has 4 faculty members to 1 student. Okay, if you would like to see which is that institution, you should visit topuniversities.com, look at the world ranking, and sort it out by faculty student ratio, and you'll see which are the top institutions there. Okay, so that's faculty. So every year, whoever gets the best ratio would be scaled at 100, because we use relative grading, and everybody else is scaled down. The next most important for the region, in Arab region ranking, is the International Research Network, is measuring how many collaborations you have outside of your country. So it's important in this world today to collaborate internationally. So we measure that. We still measure web impact at 5% from Webometrics, because traditionally in Scopus, there is definitely less amount of Arabic papers. That is overcome right now with Scopus adding more Arabic papers inside. So this I think is a short-term indicator. So 5% for web impact from Webometrics. The other 2 indicators are 5% each again. It is papers per faculty. Okay, papers per faculty in Scopus over the last 5 years, and how many citations those papers have generated over the last 6 years. Okay, again from Scopus. So 10% for very strong research, but the International Research Network also looks at Scopus. So I would say it's about 20% for hardcore research in the Arab region ranking. Finally, 3 more indicators. Faculty with PhD has a weight of 5%, which looks at what's the proportion of staff or faculty who have a PhD or a terminal degree. Higher the percentage, better will be the score for you. And proportion of international faculty in the institution has a weight of 2.5%, and proportion of international students has a weight of 2.5%. So you can see these indicators here put together support the Arab region. They might not be perfect. I'm happy to, there are several recordings available online if you want to learn about which are the best or which are the best Arab institutions, and you want to learn more of the methodologies, also available online. You can join some of my sessions I do. But the takeaway from this is that you need to look at what are your strategic objectives. If you're looking to be a world-class institution or a regional best institution, reputation is important. I mean, you can say, well, reputation is subjective, but if you want to do a program, you want to collaborate, you will definitely first look at which institution has better reputation, and you'll ask your friends, you'll ask somebody else, what do you think of this institution? So reputation is important, and it is expert reputation here. Employer reputation is important, which measures what employers want and how do employers see the students coming in, or the candidates coming in from universities, and a good mix of research, internationalization, and so on. So with that, I think I'm almost at 15 minutes, Dr. Alaa. So I think I've been able to take you to a short journey here. The end of it would be for you to look at these results every year. Don't look at short term, because rankings are not short term, they are long term. And accreditations and ratings, for that matter, provide you with some minimum benchmarks you need to follow. That's most important. Whereas rankings allows you to aim for the sky. Okay, there is no limit. Okay, there is, you can go as high as you want in that one.